afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending if folks see me on the way, George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube, folks. It's been a busy week for me. I mean, as a content maker, you try to keep up with everything, but everything's settled, everything's good, we everything's straight. Have here is a lovely lady. She is a special guest here. She has been a survivor of cancer. She is a power lifter. She is a CrossFitter. She is an IFBB pro. We have the lovely Mrs. Lee Keyrouz, and she is originally from South Africa. So this is going to be my fourth interview with a South African, second interview with an IFB pro, and it's great. She lives in the UK, so that means that's another part of the world, and I've interviewed ladies who are in part of that world. But that makes me, as I said again, I'm not a man Jerome. I am an international player from the Himalayas. So so we're gonna talk to her, get a story, share with y'all, and see what got her started. So ma'am, this is a question I often ask: what got you started in this sport, as I call it, muscle and masculinity? Please share with us.
Um, it was kind of like a snowball reaction. At the beginning, I was just trying to get healthy. As you mentioned previously, I had cancer, so I was in remission and just wanted to get healthy, and somehow stumbled across bodybuilding in the process of trying to get healthy, and lifting weights, and ended up competing as a result. So it was one of those kind of like snowball reactions, that led me into lifting and getting fit and getting healthy and then competing eventually.
Hmm. So yeah, and when was you first started, and where was your first show?
So my first show was a NABBA show. I don't think you get NABBA in the USA. Um,
No, I think it's been around. There's NABA and there's the other one, the UBK. We don't follow as much. It's
yeah,
usually here in states. It's usually the NPC, but
yeah,
we notice there's like dozens of organizations.
yeah. So I started my first competition was a NABBA show, which is more kind of like South Africa, Australia. They do that kind of show. And then I did a bunch of different federations, eventually deciding that I wanted to get my IFBB Pro card. And then I kind of fixated on IFBB because in South Africa, you can, if you want to go for your IFBB Pro card, you're not allowed to compete in other federations for at least a year. So you kind of have to follow the rules and not compete in other federations to allow yourself to be considered, in the NPC, and then getting my invite to compete in an international competition. So then I competed in the UK in order to try to qualify for my pro card, because at the time there weren't any pro cards being handed out in South Africa.
Because I remember I did this interview with Tiana Flex. She mentioned that same thing that she had to go. I think she competed in the WBFF, which is another organization where
Yeah,
she turned pro. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And then she switched over to the NPC because I think they say like it's really the NPC started to grow in other countries.
yeah.
I've interviewed a couple of ladies who are amateurs in the NPC in South Africa, and also it's also growing there in the UK. There's quite a few ladies in the UK. I know recently the Two Bros is having a show coming up, and it was gonna have women's bodybuilding, but I don't think they're gonna have it. I believe they dropped it. But like I said, it's about finding your place as a competitor. What
Yeah.
do you like about the sport of bodybuilding? What just fitness all together.
I think one of the nicest things about bodybuilding is the community, and the fact that everyone does support everyone else. It is a very community orientated thing. Everyone is very friendly, very kind, and it's one of those. It is an individual sport at the end of the day, but people do help and support each other. And I've never had a coach, so I was self trained. But if I asked anyone for advice or anything like that, and people were always more than willing to help me or give me suggestions, look at my physique, see where they thought I needed to improve. So it has always been one of those, even though it's an individual sport, I've gotten so much support and met so many incredible people along the journey, and that's what I have loved about bodybuilding in particular.
Yeah. Well, we got some incredible people right here who are in the live stream. This is my man Tony. Poindexter, he says, "Good morning, love you too, baby Tony." Shout out to him. Also, this is my man KL the Wanderer. KL has interviewed the lovely Miss Keyrouz. He says, "Good morning, morning," and also he says, yeah, "Like your workout videos, Mrs. Keyrouz." And yeah, guys, yeah, I'm telling you, anytime I get a girl in here, especially if she's a female bodybuilder, these guys they get excited. They're like that episode of a Chappelle show when Charlie Murphy met Prince. He was hitting this guy named Nikki Free and thought Nikki Free was a girl. They said like, George got a new girl. She's fine as a motherfucker. That's how they get excited about. So, one thing we said earlier is about your cancer. What was the cancer, and what was it like for you? We were going through, with this fighting cancer. Cancer is an awful disease. It's just,
I mean, like I had cervical cancer, so but I was in the earlier stages, not necessarily, like some people obviously is caught a lot later on, and when that happens, it can be absolutely devastating. I was lucky enough to get on the early stages, so I had multiple surgeries to obviously get rid of it and then kind of recover from there. And I've had a few kind of like long term side effects. But other than that, for me, when people say, oh, like cancer must have been devastating, I think in many ways I look at it differently because of how much it kind of changed my life and reset me and gave me strength and gave me confidence. And so, yes, it was a terrible situation. And, for anyone going through the similar situation, my thoughts and prayers go out to you. But I guess because it's also been so long since I've had it, I don't necessarily look at it the way as, like, oh, it was a terminal disease, etc., etc. I was like, that that situation led to where I am now. And it literally changed my life and redirected me in the right path and in the right direction. And for me, it gave me a second chance at life, not just in that I overcame it, but that I rediscovered so many things and actually discovered who I truly am as a result. And if it weren't for that, I don't think I would have ever started the fitness journey, gotten into bodybuilding, gotten into powerlifting, and done all these things because before I was not a physical person at all. Like I didn't lift weights. I started lifting weights at the age of 26 for the first time. And I had no interest in nutrition. I ate, like a bucket of KFC a day, and that was kind of like, good to go kind of thing. So I had no idea about nutrition. And now I'm a specialized nutritionist. I help people, especially, people who compete and do different sports to make sure that their nutrition's on point and help people with food issues and eating disorders and all sorts of things. So in many ways for me, yes, I had cancer, but it allowed me to discover a whole new side of my life and my story, which I am eternally grateful for. So it's one of those, if I had to go back and do it all again, yes, I would do it all again because it led to who I am now. And I feel like I'm a far stronger and a better person as a result of what I went through. So I don't regret having had it.
yeah, that's one thing about life. Sometimes, like my other guy would say, like, what doesn't make you stranger makes you stronger, and it's a test, Like I have some issues, like I have a congestive heart failure. I have a pacemaker,
Okay.
and there was days where one time, my heart fraction rate was really low until I got a pacemaker. And my last time I went to my doctor, said mine was above 50%. And yeah, I could tell you sometimes it's a struggle, dealing with health issues and trying to find the right things. I even I start eating a little health, but every now and then I do like that little bit of sugar or salt, a little something that's not healthy. Sometimes it's just sometimes it just gets the best of you. So we got a comment here from my man KL. He says this. He says, "How are you doing with your muscles up training or calisthenics?" So you do calisthenics, or what's your training like? What's your training regimen?
So at the moment, I'm focusing primarily on powerlifting and calisthenics, as he mentioned. As I was sick and I was traveling for a month, And as a result of that, I was actually doing an intentional cut, so I got down to 61 kilograms, whereas I had previously been at 65. So wasn't a huge drop; it was 4 kilograms. I'm not too sure what that is in pounds. Maybe like 10 pounds, roughly somewhere around there. But it was a substantial amount of weight for me because I got so lean. As a result, I lost a lot of strength, and I wasn't doing any calisthenics. So I've actually had to start all over again. I've literally started. I'm week 4 into my strength program, just getting back into it. So numbers are right down, and I currently can't even do a muscle up. As sad as that is, I can do kipping, but I can't do strict. So it is a bit frustrating with my training, but I know I'll get back there in due course. It's just a matter of time and dedication and discipline. Things that
Yeah,
I can do.
just a fingers crossed. Yeah, I understand. I was going to the gym for a good while, but then some setbacks happened, and then I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. One's like a little bit bone on bone, arthritis, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you got to take a step back and just try to work on the things you need to work on the most. And then it's important that your body, if your body's willing, it's one thing, but you got to get your head together also. We got here. It's just from a man. Tony 97 says, "Hello there, Lee. You look wonderful today." I tell you, Lee, that's what I say. These guys come in here. And also, are you bulking or do you prefer to focus on powerlifting at this moment? Like you said, she's focused on powerlifting and she is the IFB Pro. Are you still paying your pro fee, or you just say, I'm done. I'm focused on the powerlifting?
No, I don't. I don't know if I'll ever compete again as an IFBB pro. Simply from a health perspective, getting to that leanness, obviously it is a sacrifice in terms of health, and it is one that I'm not necessarily willing to make at the moment. Even dropping to 61 kilograms, which is only a few kilograms off my stage weight. I got sick and my immune system was right down. So if anyone who knows about competing, they'll know and how drastically you have to push your body to get to stage, at that leanness. And also because there are so few competitions, especially in the UK, that you can do as a pro, it kind of limits my desire to have to travel at that leanness in order to compete, probably in either Europe or the US. So my focus is pretty much entirely on powerlifting at the moment. And I'm not planning on bulking, but I am planning on putting on just a little bit of weight in order to get my strength back for powerlifting, but nothing substantial. I like being relatively lean, um, for aesthetics and just because, most people prefer me leaner, and I personally prefer me leaner than the bulked up look.
Yeah, because one thing when you're that lean, especially as competition, I know Lay told me that sometimes it's just like sitting down. It's like sitting on pin needles because you don't have enough fat, especially in your butt. You
Yeah.
know, the shred look is I know is very popular, especially in the sport in bodybuilding. And for us guys who follow women's bodybuilding, who are schmoes, who who like ladies, there's a Smo saying. It's a Smo saying that goes like this: When you're laid rock hard, we're rock hard. So it's a particular look that I think is very hard to do, and people have to understand there's so much work to it. Also, like I said again, when you're competing, you're on the stage, you're dehydrated, you're tired, you're on this diet, and there's so much to it. I mean, I understand the reason why you don't want to compete. I know I gotta respect the others who do still compete, but I really respect your reason not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got here. This is for K. Ellie says, uh, everyone go through suffering and struggles, but it's the thing that is for you is a reason. All right, shout out to him. Also, this is from what's your heaviest lift? That's from my man Tony.
So my records are I've done a 228 kilogram squat and a 210 deadlift and then a 122.5 kilogram bench. I don't know what the poundage conversion is.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I try to figure it out. We forget about it. Also, this is from Lawrence Perkins says, "Good morning, beautiful." Lee Keyrouz, George, and everyone in the chat. Thank you, Lawrence. Also, he says this. He says, "A cancer survivor warrior." Shout out to my man Lawrence. And and yeah, that's his. So, folks, we're gonna do this. We're gonna jump into Lee's social media for a bit. Look at some pictures, stuff like that. That's why you guys came here for. I know it. But here's the thing: this is a nice lady, and she has a husband. What's your husband's name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Kevin does not want no one to see his wife these things. Do not send these. No D pics. I keep telling you guys out there. I know you see the pictures, you see the videos, you get funny feelings. But come on, this is a lady right here. Be respectful. She has a husband. You don't want to have a knock one day. He gets boom, Kevin punch you in the face. So yeah. So we're gonna jump onto social media for a bit here, and like I said, a while back you had an IG account and
Yeah.
it was hacked. It happened to me too. I mean, I don't know why people do that. They have nothing to do in their lives, but they want to mess with your shit. So here she is training. You know,
It's all videos these days as a result. So
yeah,
very photos.
yeah. Well, views are good because the problem is we can't play the music from the videos because YouTube is always about saying shit. Because you also have a YouTube channel, so
Yes, I
you know yeah. Sometimes with YouTube, you always stuff. Now this is what this is what exercises this you're doing.
that's a weighted dip. So that's for calisthenics because in calisthenics you get powerlifting as well. But
Hmm.
it's so you have to do this movement, which is a dip, and then you have to do a pull up and a muscle up,
Yeah,
and a squat. So that's my current condition at the moment. Um,
it's pretty good. Yeah. Almost like I said, like I say, if you could compete, I think you could do pretty well. But you focus on your powerlifting.
yeah.
How long you been doing the powerlifting now?
On and off. So I competed in 2019, actually, just after I got my pro card and set a few records. And then I crossed over to CrossFit. So I'm literally actually only getting back into powerlifting now. So I've lost a lot of strength as a result of the CrossFit. So literally starting over with the powerlifting as well. And being older, substantially older, doesn't help.
Well, as a respect as a gentleman from the South, I never asked a lady her age, so I'm not going to say nothing. But yeah, powerlifting and CrossFit are getting really popular. I think CrossFit's really getting popular the last few years. It's on network television. You can see it on like sport, like ESPN and other sports networks. Powerlifting's been around for a good while. I've interviewed some ladies who do powerlifting who transitioned from powerlifting to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And yeah, because sometimes they say that issues, injuries. Here we got this nice picture of her in the suit. Wow, who's the photographer for this?
I actually can't remember his name. Um, no, no, I can't remember his name.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, you got some pretty good pictures here. You got a great physique. You know, when you were competing, what was it? What did you feel was your best aesthetic, physically wise? What's your best body part?
I would probably say it was a combination of my abs and my quads. Those were probably my two favorite muscle groups.
Yeah. Well, you have great abdominals. That's abdominals is the great centerpiece of a great physique. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when the last time you competed in CrossFit?
So I only stopped CrossFit recently. So the beginning of or the end of last year was the last time I did CrossFit, and I competed in CrossFit for just over 2 years. So I was 10th in the world towards the end, and I was first in Africa 2 years in a row. So like I am one of those who goes in and gives 100% when I do compete. But I found CrossFit was just a bit too much, because you have to train for 6 to 8 hours a day. And if you're not recovering and if you're not doing everything exactly right, it becomes extremely taxing on the body. And so I decided it just wasn't worth it in the long run to keep on going. Um, it just too many side effects.
Mhm. Yeah, I know, especially I interview some ladies who do powerlifting. That's why we switch over from powerlifting to bodybuilding because sometimes one lady who interviewed a while back, her name is Renee West, Rita West. She was doing issues with shoulder issues, neck issues. Um, Always, sometimes it's just all these little things
Yeah.
that can affect you as an athlete, as a in the long run. Now, when you're working out, what's your favorite body part to work out the most?
I'd probably say from a strength perspective, it would be bench. Bench is definitely my favorite, probably because it's my best lift currently. From an enjoyment and hypertrophy perspective, it's probably back. I love training back the most, even though it is actually one of my weakest body parts in terms of aesthetics. I do love training back.
Mhm. And I know everybody's least favorite training is leg day. That is, you don't have to do too much leg day, but you do need your legs, especially as a power lifter.
Yep.
I know there's days when you come out of the gym, especially if you have to do leg day, you go like, oh my God, you're just crawling and you just try to fight, you try to get stand up, and you're like, you feel like a little cow when he first day he's born and he's like the cat's trying to stand up and you're like, ah. We're gonna hear some comments here this is from my man Tony says, uh, "Do you like to practice combat sports? So, have you ever done any combat sports in your
No,
training?"
I haven't. A few people have asked if I could get into, wrestling and obviously mixed wrestling and that sort of thing, but I haven't actually looked at seriously. Though I am considering doing it properly and actually getting into it because actually one of my ex clients did WWE and a few different wrestling federation things. So I was actually thinking of reaching out to him and getting some lessons. But currently, I do not do any form of wrestling or anything like that. Just fantasy wrestling, obviously, for that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, because that is the one thing, especially with women with muscle, you have like a small fan base. It's mostly guys who fantasize about wrestling, other stuff. I mean, a lot of ladies who in sport of bodybuilding, they do like OnlyFans, her biceps, those things that helps them to make income because as you
Yeah,
know, being
I
yeah,
do all of that. But obviously, the wrestling, if I do like sessions or anything like that, it's more fantasy wrestling more than actual competitive wrestling. I don't offer competitive wrestling because I don't know how to do it competitively. But I do more, fantasy wrestling and the fun sort of light-hearted kind of thing, scissoring and that sort of thing. Yes.
yeah. Because sometimes even you got to be careful with injuries too. When
Yeah.
because you never know. Like I know a lot of guys. Like I know a lady who said she didn't want to do too much arm wrestle stuff because she didn't want to hurt her arm. Um, this is from Mick. He says, "Love her muscles in the clips." Yeah, that's what he's here for. Also, this is from Tony. He says, "You look great in the lingerie. Have you ever thought about doing a calendar? So, have you ever thought about doing your own calendar?"
A lot of people have asked me, and I should actually get round to doing it. But every time the end of the year kind of rolls around to sort out a calendar, I just forget about doing it. So hopefully, before the end of this year, I'll actually organize a calendar and release one for 2025. Um, but I always also feel like, okay, I don't know if anyone would actually buy it, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, should I even bother? Because especially after my Instagram got deleted, I was just like, well, I don't really have a huge reach. So setting up calendars, etc., I don't know if anyone would buy it.
Yeah.
So, um,
I can understand because, like I said again, the idea of women with muscle is not very appealing to the everyday person.
yeah,
That's why I said that with women with muscle, you have this kind of small fan base.
yeah,
It's just really it's a fantasy thing for a lot of the guys. And also, as these websites, as I call them, the beat the meat websites, that's what they are. They're the ones that really mostly make money off of y'all. Then you make money from them, but it's something that exists. It's something that not everybody wants to do, but it's something that I think works depending on where you want to go in your career. We have here, you know, this is from my man KL. He says, uh, "What music do you like to work out to when you go to the gym? You have
yeah.
a playlist when you work out?"
I don't actually listen to a playlist. I used to, and that was mostly like hard rock and alternative and that sort of thing. But right now, I tend not to because I'm obviously doing calisthenics and that sort of things, which requires a lot of movement, and I don't. I prefer big what would you call them? Headphones rather than earphones, which of course get in the way. So I don't actually listen to music at the moment, but when I do, it's usually like hard rock, alternative metal, that sort of thing. Especially if I'm going to be deadlifting heavy and squatting heavy, I like that kind of like in your face kind of music to get the heart racing and get you going.
Yeah, I know. When I work out, I used to listen to like more rap and hip hop, But then they had this one song on there. It's like someone. It's like a mix somebody made. It's like it's like Rocky Balboa,
Okay.
And that movie, the Rocky whole series inspired me, especially this quote from Rocky Balboa. It says like it's not no matter how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can take the hits and
Yeah.
keep moving forward. And you took a lot of hits in your life, and you kept moving forward,
Yeah.
and I gotta respect you for that. Um, Here we got here from KL. Is there someone you pay attention to in the sport of bodybuilding? Do you still follow bodybuilding, or you just focus on your in your sport?
I still follow the people in my division, so Sarah and Natalia, Coelho, and all the big names, obviously, because that's my division. So I do pay attention to my division just to see kind of like how the physique's looking, how the judging's going, if they, going harder or softer, bigger, smaller, that sort of thing. Because obviously, if I ever do decide to compete again, it's good to have a reference point of what the judging is currently looking like and what girls are currently doing well. Like I do love women's physique, and I love the fact that the girls are not as big as bodybuilding, but shredded and really, really shredded, which I love because that it was always the thing. One thing that I could do, I might not be the biggest, but I really like to dial in and get as lean as possible. So I still pay attention to the women in my division in particular.
Yeah. Well, with my content of it, the women now in divisions are starting to get to melt a little bit. Even if you look at physique, the girls are getting bigger.
Yeah,
If you kind of go back to maybe when it first came out with Daylene Bailey and Julie McCarr and those others, yeah, that was the look. Now the girls in figure look more like those women now.
yeah.
And yeah, and the girls in physique are getting closer. Even Natalia, she's getting big.
Well, they get
Someone
bigger for sure.
yeah, yeah. Someone like Sarah still has that great. I think one thing I remember was someone saying that the reason why Sarah lost to Natalia that year back in 2022 because what she did was she did a mistake that Iris Kyle did a few years ago when she lost her Miss Olympia champion. She dialed herself down, and then
Okay.
the next person came in better condition and won, and Sarah bounced back. And I follow Sarah Vigors. I think I respect what she does, the content, and also what she's doing for bodybuilding, especially for y'all division. She wanted to have the Arnold to have women's physique back, but but I'm not gonna get to that. That's too much about but I love Arnold, but Arnold, but he's not a fan of y'all women and muscle.
Yeah.
Um, this is from a man, KL. He says, um, "What's your diet like during the week?" So what's the diet like for you?
Um, uh, so I eat a lot of eggs during the day. I'm pretty much kind of like I'm a high carb, high protein, moderate to low fats. That's kind of like the way I roll. So a few whole eggs, a lot of egg whites, a little bit of red meat. And when I cut, obviously I cut the red meats and I go vegan, not vegan, vegetarian. Tend to go vegetarian, and that's not something against red meat or anything. It's just I was vegetarian for a few years, and I do now struggle to eat red meat as a result, which is terrible because I used to be the biggest red meat eater, and I still love red meat, and I still push red meat on most of my clients. But for me personally, I find eggs and yogurt and dairy to be my friend, and lots of carbs because carbs make me happy in my heart.
everybody loves it. Everybody loves carbs. Carbs, you love that sweet taste of a nice piece of bread or a cake, like that, or or you're over there in England, a biscuit, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can understand that. With me, I'm pre-diabetic. I gotta be careful what I eat, but I still like a little bit sugar, a little sweet. Yeah, it's a lot. Food can be both a weapon and a tool for a bodybuilder. Like
Oh,
when you when you're like off on you, do you have a cheat meal or what's the thing you want? That thing you desire most when you don't have to diet. What is
well, I had regular cheat meals, so I'm not depriving myself of anything. But 100% Cocoa Pops. Like I'm a Cocoa Pops hoard. That is my favorite. Yeah, I did discover Crave recently. I did not know about Crave cereal until we went to our latest trip to America, and I got like packets and packets of Crave. But for me, it's Cocoa Pops and Craves, 100%. I'm a cereal person through and through. So as terrible as it sounds, like you can take most things, but I do love cereal. Oh, and Double Crunch KFC, the extra crispy. You can't find that anywhere else but in the USA. So when we go over, we always get ourselves a nice Double Crunch KFC. But that's about it, really.
Well, right now, Lee, you make me hungry right now because it's gonna be a lunch in another few minutes. But yeah, food, like I said, I mean, I tell you, like you go cocoa pop, son. So yeah, I can understand it. It's just sometimes, especially when it's something nice and something sweet and something that just food it's just a feeling for the soul. Like I grew up here in the South. Like we had Easter. Easter just passed. We used to have a big Easter dinner. My mom would cook a couple of cakes, and we have banana pudding. We have I never like eggs, so yeah, double eggs and potato salad and ham and all that. And it's just sometimes it's a good feeling when you eat a nice piece of food. But then healthy eating is good. Like I could never be vegan or vegetarian because I like meat. I couldn't do it. I grew up eating meat most of my life. It's hard to walk away from them. But I have interviewed some ladies who are vegan competitors, and it's a good healthy lifestyle. But I don't know if it's something for me. I don't know. I couldn't do it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nutritionally, it's actually better to be to eat red meat. And I actually had that discussion the other day with one of my clients, because he was like tossing and turning. He was like, "Is it healthier to be vegan or is it healthier to do keto?" And from my perspective, it's healthier to do keto than to do a vegan diet because you're lacking so many nutrients that you don't necessarily get from your food. But that's a different story altogether, and I respect everyone's decision to be vegan and vegetarian, etc., etc. So, for me, more than anything, food is a tool and something that you need to live, but I don't necessarily live to eat, if that makes sense. Like, I love my food and I love a good cheat meal, but for me, the food that I eat, which is healthy and balanced, gets me through the day. And then on the weekend, I get to splurge with one Cocoa Pop meal every weekend. So, it's enough to sustain me, and I don't need to go kind of crazy during the week.
Yeah, this is from Ikea. It's like this. I haven't had Cocoa Puff cereal since I don't know when. I can't remember. I don't eat cereal much anymore myself because I don't. Milk's not my friend anymore because I gotten older now. And I used to love cornflakes and Frosted Flakes, Tony the Tiger. They were great. It was just nice to taste feeling when you're a little kid. But when you grow up, you just can't eat things like you used to. Now you say you also are a coach and a trainer. How long you been doing that?
So I've been a coach for about 9 years now, so quite a while now. And then nutrition is slightly less because obviously I feel like nutrition is something that you have to really delve into 100%. So I've been doing nutrition for about 5 years.
Yeah, because nutrition, you got to really find the right balance for somebody. You might have, like, I know a lot of ladies who might have gut issues who compete in the sport. And sometimes you got to find the right thing they can eat. Sometimes some people say, like, one thing they may not say, don't eat this type of meat, don't eat this type of food or this or that. I think also serving sometimes, you have to have small servings or, it's just so much to when you try to figure out a diet plan for anybody, especially nutrition. This is from a man, Tony97 says, female bodybuilding is getting more popular. Women like you are a role model for young women who aspire to get big in the future. Who are your role models? Well, like, is anybody outside of bodybuilding that you really are a fan of, especially in fitness?
And I don't actually know. I mean, like, obviously in bodybuilding, Nicole I was a huge fan of Nicole and Dana Lynn Bailey. Those were two of my all-time favorites. Um, outside of that, I mean, I love the Williams sisters in tennis. I have a huge respect and admiration for those two ladies, Venus and Serena Williams. I think they're super rock stars. I probably, probably them, because not only do they represent the females, they've been very anti and vocal about protecting women's sports and that sort of thing, which I think is extremely prevalent in this day and age, to try to protect women's sport for what it is. So I think probably the Williams sisters outside of bodybuilding.
Yeah, because I'm a fan of Serena and both of Venus, especially Serena. She has that bam. I know she's retired now. I used to. That's one thing. She was the one that really got people, especially my people, my community, to get to watch tennis because there wasn't a lot of sisters in that sport. Like Tiger Woods got people watching golf, and yeah, the lifestyle of fitness and working out, it's it's a tough lifestyle. It's like often I know, like with your family, when you started into bodybuilding and other stuff, what was their support? Did they really supported your decision?
I don't have the closest of family, so like my parents will support you from a distance. They don't necessarily get in the way. I think for them, they didn't quite understand bodybuilding, as a lot of people who don't compete. From the outside, they're kind of looking in and they're kind of like, well, what is the point of this? You know, but they were supportive in their own way. At the end, when I've been competing for, let's say, 5 years, they actually came to a show and they watched me. So they're supportive in their own way. I mean, they when I said that I wasn't going to compete anymore, they were over the moon excited, because I did like, when I got really really lean, it wasn't particularly healthy, but they supported me, and they support me in whatever my endeavor is. But they're never kind of like in your face, giving their opinion. They kind of leave me to do whatever and learn from my mistakes, as it were.
Well, that's the thing is family. That's one thing you always want your support from your family. But sometimes you don't have it. You don't have it. I know some ladies who I've talked to say sometimes people don't understand what they get into the sport, and especially you're changing your lifestyle. You're not doing the things like everybody else does. Like, okay, you might want to go to a pub, and you may not be the type of person who want to drink. Or you have to rest because you have a competition, or you got to go to the gym in the morning. There's so much to this that people don't understand, and more people in the mindset of people outside of sports thinking, okay, I take a pop a special pill and I can grow bigger. No, you have to follow a diet. You have to work out. Nutrition is important. There's so much to the sport, especially not just in bodybuilding, but powerlifting, CrossFit, even the sports out, like the mainstream sports, like we talk about tennis. And you have to be in condition and health. You just can't just come in and just, hey, I'm gonna hit a ball, and then you think you're gonna stand a chance against Venus Williams or Serena Williams. Even on a bad day, you couldn't beat her. This is from a man Kelly. He says this, have anyone ever ate plant-based food, not too much a fan? Well, I think I had something one time. It was like supposed to be like some kind of a plant-based chicken nugget, and it's just I could tell. I mean, you could tell the difference. It's just really chewy.
I would probably never eat plant-based replacement meals, simply because of the long laundry list of ingredients. I mean, if you look at a beef patty, it's got beef in it and salt. And if you look at a Beyond Beef burger, it's got like, what, 30, 40 ingredients in it in order to make it taste like beef. So from a nutrition and health standpoint, I would never eat something plant-based, simply because you can't even pronounce half the ingredients in there, and a lot of them, are turning out to be banned and taken and removed because of the health side effects of them. So yeah, I'm not a fan of meat replacement substitutes.
Now we just eat the real thing because like I said the other day, I cooked some pork chop and had some mashed potatoes and green beans. That's real food. It's like somebody telling me, like, I remember I was watching this thing. It was guys in prison and saying like the next best thing is to a woman is another. No, no, there's no next best thing to a woman. A woman is a woman. There's no next best thing. So
Yeah.
there's no next best thing to meat. This is from man KL. He is a fan. He says bodybuilding is very extremely difficult to understand at times. People have to take baby steps to understand it. Yeah, and it's like anything. It's like anything. It's like singing powerlifting. It takes times and steps. And also, I think in tournaments sometimes you can do pretty well financially as a powerlifter compared to a bodybuilder. Because you think about it, That's a sport you put in more money into it, and you're not getting much out of it compared to other sports where, if you look at, like you over there in UK, soccer is very popular. There's other sports that really, like the mainstream sports, like here in America, like football and baseball and basketball, where you can really make a career of it. But like anything, you are an athlete still,
Yeah.
and you're committed and you're passionate about this sport. What would you, as an athlete, see change in the sports overall in every sport you compete in?
I think, I mean, obviously to grow it would be great. And as you say, like financially, most of the sports that I do tend to have no financial remuneration, which kind of sucks. I tend to choose sports that cost more to enter than you actually make. So if it could get to the point where, bodybuilding and powerlifting actually got the recognition that some of the other sports got, that would be awesome. And obviously, I understand that there's so many elements and factors involved. You can't just pay people more, but if they know not a lot of fans, etc., etc. And especially in women's sports, there isn't a huge fan base, and women don't support other women in a lot of sports. Therefore, the fan base is smaller. So it would be awesome to have more money, especially in the women's divisions. And I completely understand why there isn't. But yeah, if bodybuilding and powerlifting could grow and calisthenics could grow, that would be epic.
Mhm. Yeah, because one thing is that I think everybody doesn't follow these sports as much
Yeah.
compared. It's easy. Like if you we were talking about Sarah Vilgus and Natalia Cuejo, most people would know who they are. But
Yeah.
if you say someone like LeBron James, or you mention Derek Jeter, or you mention what's his name, the dude that played for the Cowboys, Dax Prescott, you know, you talk about those guys, people would say, "Hey, I know that instantly." But people like yourself, you're not as known. And like I said, it's not a mainstream sport. I used to
No.
remember bodybuilding used to be on ESPN. Fox Sports used to have it. You used to see on network television, but only time you could see bodybuilders like either on YouTube and also on live streaming, or you go to shows. I went to a show before. It was great to go there and meet people like the only lady I got to meet was Alina Popa. That was just amazing for me. To follow these ladies and to see them in magazines and on the internet, but to see them in person is a totally different subject. Um, this is from my man Tony 97. He says, "Do you have any sponsors? So, are you a sponsored athlete, or are you doing everything on your own?"
No, I do everything on my own. I would love to have some sponsors. So if any sponsors want to message me, I would take them on in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, no sponsors at the moment.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Sponsorship does help. It covers the cost of your travel expenses. And one thing is you do have to travel, do shows, the cost of your training, and you have a coach, or you're still coaching yourself.
I coach myself, so
Yeah, and that's especially good. You're coaching yourself, because some people have a coach, so they need somebody to throw feedback off of.
yeah,
And that's saving expense right there. You don't have to pay for a coach. You know, there's so much to the sport where money does help. Like and sponsorship. That's a good thing. If you can find like a company that would say, hey, she has a great look to her. We like her. Let's reach out to her. But then sometimes, Lee, there's that one guy say, "Hey, Lee, I seen your pictures. Yeah, you're a cute little thing, Lee. You know what? If you do something for me, yeah, I'll do something." No, 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 no. We don't want that, folks. We don't want that. We want someone that says, Miss Keyrouz, we have a plan for you. We like your look. We like your style. You're a great athlete. You have a great future in sport. So if we sponsor your next competition, you represent our product, we have a good future. It's a great cooperation between the both of us. That's what a lot of you ladies deserve. You deserve that. But we all know women's sports is always going to get the back. I do content like a women mixed martial arts, MMA, and women in mixed martial arts now is popular.
yeah,
The WNBA has been around for almost 30 years, and still they don't make as much money as the guys in the NBA. Just I right now we had a thing called the NCAA tournament, which is the National College Association basketball tournaments, where the girls this year for women's basketball in college has the most watch over 200,000. Oh, no, 200, 20 million people ever watch
Oh,
women's college basketball
that's
in the history. Hmm?
that's amazing.
Yeah, because people mostly with men's when you see dunking, you see that. I think one person gets a lot of attention is Caitlin Clark, and just recently Ice Cube offered her a $5 million deal to do his 3-on-3 basketball organization, and I think
That's
she should jump on it because hey, you may not get that in the WNBA.
that's fascinating and that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I said. I think it's for women. People don't like they like the idea of women being in sports. As the idea of women supposed to be feminine, supposed to be soft, like this and that. But it's just we see women like yourself do sports like powerlifting, bodybuilding. It kind of takes people out of their comfort zone, and they
Yeah,
can't accept it. If it was basically, they'd rather see you sitting in a parlor looking pretty.
yeah.
But that's um. This is from a man K. He says, women don't even watch women's sports like that. Yeah, most women don't. I mean, I know a few women who used to. I used to work with one lady. She loved college basketball, but she hate pro basketball. But she loved pro football, but hate college football. It's just women. Y'all have different tastes compared to men.
Women aren't interested in other women. We're culturally a terrible phenomena. Men support other men, but women don't necessarily support other women, and that's the issue. Because the reason that soccer and basketball and all of these things do so well is because men support other men, and obviously they have a huge following. But women don't support other women, and that's the reason that the women's sports never take off is because of that situation. I think there are probably more men who support women in sport than women support women in sport, which absolutely sucks. But I think that's the way it kind of is. I think women are more focused on the household than anything else.
Yeah. Also, yeah, you think about women; they make up more of the population than men. But it's just always going to be that women are going to be like sometimes like I used to work. One of my jobs I used to work in the textiles. I work with women from morning to night. I had a job also. I used to work at another place called, well, you might call it a gentleman club, but in the hood we call it a booty club. What women sometimes there's just y'all both for us men, y'all both are passions, but also you are our destruction. We love you, but sometimes it's a love hate relationship. But it's good that there's opportunities for y'all. Back in the day, there wasn't that many for women. It was you didn't have women in sports, but now in the last few years, you have the Olympics coming up in a few months, and one lady who I follow is um Shakiri Richardson, who's a great runner. I think she might win a gold this year. You
Okay.
know, and it's just impressive these women who are athletes. I like to watch that sport now while I watch baseball, basketball. That's really truly humans testing their limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, folks, we appreciate the lovely Mrs. Keyrouz for coming through. I hope her the best in her move in her advance in her sport, and especially powerlifting. So, like I said, you right now just taking the time out because you were sick and um just really trying to get in better condition. So, when do you think you might be ready to compete?
I honestly don't know. I'm focusing more on business at the moment, so competing and that sort of thing is a back step. So it's one of those. If I get my numbers to where I want them, then I'll look at competing. But for now, it's just enjoying the process and grinding and working and focusing on business.
Yeah. Well, this is what man KA says. Uh, yes, love and hate relationship with women, or my other guys. Sometimes with women, you just are a phenomenon. Sometimes you complete us, but sometimes you are agents of anarchy and destruction. So yeah, it's just so much to being a woman in this sport, especially being a woman in this world. Period. And like I said, I see my mother. She struggled when she was taking care of us kids, and my dad was off doing his thing. And this is why I do content like this because to give your ladies a voice and and give you opportunity to share that people need to understand what it takes to be an athlete and just to be a woman in this world. This is from a man KL. Like I said, he's a fan. He says, "Good luck to Mrs. Keyrouz. We'll Watch more of your YouTube videos. Yeah, I said, guys, if you want to follow her, her social media stuff is in the description of this video. In the live, you can follow her on YouTube, IG. She also has other platforms. If you're interested in supporting her as an athlete, guys, if you have a plan, a genuine plan, reach out to her. But guys, I keep telling you this: we don't want no problem from Kevin. We don't want to hear that he knocked some guy out. No D pics. Stop it. Have respect for yourself and for this lady. Come on. Come on. Don't be that guy. So, man, I do appreciate the time you're giving me. I hope everything goes well with you. I hope your businesses go well too, because like I said, money does make the world go round, but make your money, don't make it make you.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So anyway, folks, we'd like to thank you for the lovely Mrs. Lee Keyrouz for coming through. Thank my man KL the Wanderer, Tony 97, Davis Adams, also my brother Lawrence Perkins for coming through. All who watch this video, share, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to us on our social media platforms. We're both on YouTube. We want, maybe we get, maybe someday I get monetized, but hey, it's not about me making the money. It's about me giving these ladies the voice and opportunity deserved. So appreciate your time, ma'am. Wish you best of luck, and thank you again for coming through.
Thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome. And reach me on our George page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't subscribe. We're out. Have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.